She stitched it before it happened. Look at the cloth in the queen's hands at the very end of this episode. There's a city on it, a dragon over the city, and the small figure coming down past the towers with its arms out, already falling. Helena sewed that weeks ago. We watched her do it, episode after episode. And honestly, most of us filed it under sad girl, sad hobby. And then there's a second panel on the same piece of cloth that I've barely seen anyone talk about. It's Rhaenyra on the Iron Throne, and the blood isn't on the floor. It's on her, running out of the crown and down over everything. So, one woman in that castle knew how this finale ends. She knew it in thread, and she didn't tell anybody. Oh, and keep an eye on the butterflies in this episode, where they show up, and more to the point, who they don't show up with. We'll come back for that. I promise. The episode opens with news moving faster than anybody can think about it. Aegon's alive. His dragon's alive. And the small folk are already outside the Great Sept, asking the gods which of these two people they're supposed to be following. Rhaenyra takes it to Daemon. And I want us to sit in this scene for a second, because the entire back half of the episode is hiding in it. They switch to High Valyrian. You'll see the subtitles burn in on screen. And in this show, that's basically a flag. It means, stop chewing, read this bit. And what he tells her, in the family language, is, the lesser gods don't get a say in what's coming. We're the blood of old Valyria. The power's already in your hand. You just have to close your fingers around it. Hold on to that. Not the mood of it, the actual words. Because in about 40 minutes, she's going to stand on a balcony and say a version of that to 20,000 strangers, and everyone's going to call it her big moment. It isn't hers, you know. He handed it to her in a bedroom while he was putting his armor on. Her answer is the rest of the season in about 6 words. She curses her father. He put her here. His prophecy tested her, over and over, and she passed every single one. And this is what she got for it. And then 12 minutes later, she says the quiet part out loud. There will be no doubt, she says, about whom the gods have chosen to rule. Not I hope they choose me. No doubt. Which means the decision's already been made, and the High Septon is now just a man standing in a building she needs. 2 small things over in the Hightower camp, and they only really work if you catch both of them. Daeron has to be knighted, not for bravery, not for a battle, just because, well, you can't crown a boy who isn't a knight, so Ormond does the vows on the spot and gives him a name. Daeron the Daring. In the book, he actually earns that name, at the Honey Wine, on his dragon saving Ormond's army from a rout. Here, he gets it before he's done anything at all. It's a participation trophy that happens to involve a sword. And listen to how the vow ends. Light the way. That's the Hightower words said over a boy they're turning into a king. Pin that one too, because Rhaenyra is going to steal those exact words later and say them into the faces of the Hightower army. Mysaria gets removed, not executed, not accused of anything. Removed. Passage is already arranged. The ship's even got a name. The Mermaid's Kiss. She's going to Pentos. There'll be gold, enough for a house and servants of her own. And then the line that actually does the damage, and it's the polite one. Her services here are at an end. I mean, that's how you let go of a housekeeper. This is the woman who ran her spies, who shared her bed, who told her the truth when literally nobody else would, and she's being processed out with a severance package and a boat. And if that offer sounds oddly specific, well, that's because we've heard it before. A ship already waiting. Pentos, gold enough for a house and servants of your own. 3 things, in that exact order, 170 years later. I mean, listen to it yourself.
There's a ship waiting in the harbor bound for Pentos.
What?
You'll have your own cabin, of course, and across the narrow sea, a house. Servants.
Tyrion at least had the decency to hate himself while he said it. He was lying. He's lying to protect her, or that's the story he tells himself about it afterwards, which is what people do when they've already decided and just need to live with it. Or rather, he's doing both at once, watching what it does to her face, and saying it anyway. It costs him something, and you can see it costing him. Rhaenyra, says her version once, calls it services rendered, and she's already on to the next item on the list. And she doesn't go quietly, by the way. On her way out, she finds Helena and gives her one line. Don't trust the queen. That's it. That's the parting gift. A frightened girl locked in a keep gets handed one more reason to trust nobody, by the person who just got thrown out for caring too much. And then, the episode does something I genuinely didn't expect this season. It stops the war dead and just lets Alys Rivers talk. She's been damned, she says, for her trespasses, cursed to suffer. And the way she says it isn't poetry. It sounds like she's describing a contract she can't get out of. Here's what she actually lays out. When Balerion burned this place, the whole point of it was ending Harren's line. The sons died. One boy didn't die right away. So she did the respectable thing first. She called the maesters, and the maesters couldn't help him. And then she went to the things that live in the forest. That line's doing a lot of work, you know. Things that live in the forest. Mere Harrenhal, on a lake with an island in the middle of it. That's the Isle of Faces, and that's the old power that was supposed to have gone out of the world a very long time ago. The boy died anyway. She tried to follow him and couldn't. And what she got instead is this. She stays. She serves whoever holds the castle next. She loses her name. She loses her seat. She keeps the years. And that was 100 years ago. Now here's the question the episode is very careful not to ask. And honestly, it might be the most interesting thing in the hour. A Targaryen and his dragon killed her child. So why does she keep saving Targaryens? Why is she in bed with one right now, calling him her betrothed? Maybe she's working the curse from the inside, and a Targaryen child is the way out. Maybe there's a piece of that story she hasn't told him. I don't think we're meant to have decided yet. I do think we're meant to notice that he never asks. Rhaenyra goes to see Helena. And this scene is about 2 minutes long, and it travels from concern to threat without ever raising its voice. It starts with, "You must eat, sister," which is fine, it's kind even. Then, Helena starts talking about a beetle. It comes out at the edge of summer, she says. Blue, gold, purple. Looks a bit like a turtle. You can only find it in King's Landing. It lives on what other creatures throw away. And Rhaenyra does the thing that sinks her. She says it's beautiful. She says when summer comes, you'll have to show me. And none of it lands, because she isn't listening. It's the voice you do at a dinner party when you've stopped following the story. Helena clocks it instantly. You don't care about it. You're pretending. Everything you care about is ugly. This place is ugly. And then, with no build-up whatsoever, you, yourself. Ugly. That's a verdict. Handed down by the one person in that castle who literally can't lie. And it gets answered about 30 seconds later by the queen calling in soldiers to hold her sister down and put food in her mouth. There's a cage in that room, by the way. Small, wooden bit of branch and some moss in it. And whatever's inside, we never get a clean look at it. Something we can't see. Kept in a box, in a room where a woman is being held down and fed. One more before the war, and it's a line half the internet is misquoting. Adam points out that their father is currently sitting somewhere waiting on a high-tower gallows, while Rhaenyra moves Alan up into his chair. A glorious ascent, he says, for a bastard. So 2 different men get called bastard in this episode, in 2 different rooms, for completely opposite reasons. Ulf uses it to spit at a queen he's decided is beneath him. Adam uses it on his own brother, and what he means is, don't you dare enjoy this. Same word, one of them's drunk, one of them's grieving. A Hightower knight rides into the Blacks' camp under a banner of peace. It's Gwaine, and his opening move is to hand over his own family. My cousin Ormond, he says, has taken leave of his senses. Now, is he selling out Ormond, or is he performing selling out Ormond? Because look at what he's actually asking for. He wants a deal that puts Darren on a throne. That's not a man abandoning his side. That might be a man trying to win with somebody else's army. The episode doesn't tell us, and I don't think that's sloppy. I think that's deliberate. The offer itself is a partition. The queen keeps the crown lands, the boy gets the south. Everyone goes home and pretends this was a misunderstanding. That deal exists in the book too, just with the line drawn somewhere else. And in both versions, the answer is the same, which tells you how far past talking everybody already is. And then Gwaine says the thing Rhaenyra won't say to herself. The queen has dragons, sure, but the great houses are hesitating. He's a hostage in an enemy camp, and he's the only person in the scene describing the war accurately. Daemon greets him, and it isn't ceremony. It's a joke about how little meat there is on him compared to a butcher's knife. But here's the part I didn't clock the first time. He lets him go. You came under a banner of peace, he says, and then he actually honors it. This is a man who choked a diplomat 2 episodes ago, and the reason he behaves is that his wife told him not to make a monster out of her. He's holding a promise he was given in a bedroom, out in a field, in front of witnesses. Remember that one. It expires in about 12 minutes. There's one more thing here that the show quietly rewrote. In the book, this is roughly where Rhaenyra's paranoia starts eating her own side. She gives an order to arrest Adam of Hull. Carlos gets word to him in time, and the man is gone before the guards arrive. The show takes that whole betrayal and swaps it out for loyalty. Alan stays. Adam argues with him about it. Nobody defects, which is a choice, you know? It makes them better people, and it moves her paranoia somewhere else entirely, onto her stepdaughter, onto the woman who was in her bed. The High Septon knows her banners will be over the holdfast by nightfall. He knows, and he still doesn't move. She corrects him on the title, and I love that she bothers. Not princess, queen. She's about to have him killed in front of a crowd, and the thing she stops to fix is how he addresses her. So he reaches for the oldest threat the faith has. Harm me, and you declare war on the Starry Sept, and you damn your soul to the deepest of the 7 hells. And she doesn't argue with him. She talks past him, to the man holding the sword. You are the blood of old Valyria. You answer to higher gods than his. That's Daemon's line from the bedroom. And the way he stands afterwards is the entire cost of that scene. Okay, so this is the bit that's going to make or break the season for a lot of people. And I want to be fair to it, because I think it works, and I think it's also completely cynical. And both of those are true at once. She opens with her father naming her heir in front of everyone. Which is true. That happened. Half the realm knelt for it. Then, she goes further back. Before Viserys was born. Before the conquest. She's building a line of succession that runs through prophecy instead of paperwork. Valyria burns. House Targaryen survives it. And the reason they survive it, in the books, is Daenys, the girl who dreamed the end and got her family to sell everything and sail west while everyone else laughed at them. Rhaenyra never names her. But that's the ground she's standing on. We're the family that survives because we're the family that dreams. The gods summoned Aegon to unite the realm under one banner, black and red. He was made protector, and the thing he was protecting it from is an old darkness in the far north, past the wall that only dragons can stand against. Conqueror, to Jaehaerys, to her father, to her. And then the knife. The Hightower line cannot fulfill this prophecy. If the world is to survive, she says, I must light the way. And there it is. She's standing on a Hightower wall, using Hightower words, telling a whole city that their house is disqualified from the only story that matters. Half an hour earlier, we watched Ormond say that exact phrase over Darren's shoulder while making him a knight. Same words, opposite direction. Nobody in the scene points it out. And then she names herself, Rhaenyra the Chosen, which is a hell of a thing to call yourself out loud, in public with witnesses. Then, in Valyrian, she says she's the prince that was promised. And yes, prince. That word doesn't carry gender in High Valyrian, which is a detail this franchise has been sitting on for about a decade, waiting for somebody to need it. Here's what I keep coming back to, though. She says it in a language the small folk don't speak. If this were pure theater, you'd say it in the common tongue so the crowd could chant it back at you. She says it in Valyrian, to nobody in that square who can understand it. Which means she's either talking to the gods, or she's talking to herself. And I honestly don't know which one is worse. One more thing. Joffrey is standing right there. He doesn't say a single word in this entire episode. He just watches his mother do this, exactly the way she once stood beside Viserys and watched him. He's the heir, he's just found out there's a prophecy. And one day, all of this becomes his problem. 12 minutes. That's how long it lasts. Daemon lines his army up and calls them exactly what they are. Lords, knights, savages, cutthroats. And then, grant no mercy, give no quarter, I don't want the best of you, I want the worst. The realm is watching, he'd said earlier, in a different scene, in a completely different voice. She told him not to make a monster out of her. He's about to do that anyway, out loud, with her name attached to it. Quick thing before we go into the battle, because the second half of this is where all the good stuff is buried. If you're still with me this far in, hit the like button. It genuinely helps this thing get in front of people who care about this show as much as we do. Okay, Tumbleton. Before a single arrow goes anywhere, Ormond puts children on the walls. Look at them. 5 kids in green tunics, lined up along the battlements, all looking the same direction. That's not a battlefield accident. Somebody walked into a town, collected children, and stood them where a dragon would see them first. And it works, which is the horrible part. It works exactly as long as Daemon is keeping a promise. Ormond also finds out his own man went to negotiate behind his back, so now he's fighting a war with a cousin who's been shopping for terms, and a dragon rider who's, well, we're getting to him. They find Ulf in an outhouse. The battle has started, the walls are being climbed, and the man holding their only dragon is passed out next to a latrine. Worthless scum. Useless, baseborn scum. All you had to do was sit on your dragon. Now get back on the beast and do as you're told. And here's the thing I want you to notice, because I don't think the show is being subtle about it. I think we're just used to it. That is the exact same treatment Daemon gave him. Beaten, humiliated, in public, in front of the men. Both sides. Same script. Nobody in this war has ever wanted Ulf. They want the animal he can sit on. In the book, they have a name for him, by the way. The Sot. The drunk. That's how he goes down in the histories, and the show just acts it out instead of saying it. Daemon takes Caraxes to the gate, and the children are still standing in front of it. Most of them run. A couple don't. That's the promise gone. Not in a speech, not in a big decision. In about 4 seconds because a gate needed opening, and there were kids in the way. Roddy Dustin gets the line of the battle. Don't die for Ormond's vanity. He spent 2 seasons being the guy who's cheerfully waiting to die, and here he is telling somebody else that dying for the wrong man is a waste. Then he goes for Ormond himself, and Ormond takes his arm off. Look at that frame. The old man against the palisade, the stump, the blood already down his side, and the helmet coming at him in the foreground. He's got one arm and he's still standing. And that's how Ormond dies. His own victory turning his stomach, and a one-armed northerner finishing him with the hand he's got left. In the book, it's not Ormond who takes the arm, it's his cousin, Brynden. And Roddy kills them both before he goes down. The show gives that whole sequence to one man, which honestly plays better on screen, but it does quietly delete a high tower from the story. Hold on to that arm. We're not done with it. Ulf finally gets on his dragon, and I've seen people ask which side he betrayed here, and I don't think that question has an answer anymore. He's been bought twice. He's been beaten twice. At this point, he's not on a side, he's on a dragon. Meanwhile, Daemon is losing his fight, genuinely losing it to Jon Roxton, who is just better than him. And what saves him isn't skill. It's falling masonry from a fire that a drunk started by accident. The best swordsman in Westeros survives because a building fell down at the right moment. Then this. Caraxes and Vermithor, both riderless, chasing Silverwing across the sky. No people on any of them. That's the whole season in one shot. Everybody in this war has spent 3 years telling themselves they command dragons. And here are the dragons, doing whatever they want, with the riders on the ground. And if you're keeping score with the book, this is only the first battle for this town. They've split it across seasons. Back in the capital, Helena is in her room with her needlework and a window. This show has been framing her against windows all season. There's a line a few episodes back where she asks to look at the moon and settles for the window instead. It's been sitting there in plain sight the entire time. And it's the same window in the same castle that Tommen Baratheon walks out of 170 years later. Same architecture, same drop, same city burning in the distance. She goes out of it. Okay, book spoiler territory for a minute. Skip 30 seconds if you want to stay clean. In the book, nobody can agree on why she did it. There are 3 accounts. The Fool says one thing, the Maester says another, the Septon says a third, and they contradict each other because the people writing them were pushing agendas. But the version that sticks is the Septon's, she was told, that night, how her son Maelor died. And here's the problem. Maelor doesn't exist in this show. He was cut. So the writers had to build a completely different road to the same window, out of a locked room, a force-feeding, and a sister who told her she was ugly. Alicent is somewhere on the road when it happens. She stops. She feels something, and a cloud of small blue butterflies goes up out of the bushes in front of her. Now, we talked about this in our episode 5 video, so I'm not going to do the whole thing again. Short version, Helena sat in the garden explaining to her daughter that caterpillars eat a poison leaf, and the poison doesn't go anywhere, it stays in them, and the butterfly that comes out is poisonous too. And she called it a puzzle. That scene was already about the boy who got cut out of the story. We said so at the time. And now here they are, actual butterflies, blue ones, going up in front of Alicent at the exact moment her daughter falls. You can call that a coincidence. I don't think I do. Rhaenyra comes back from her coronation glowing and finds the room empty. And then she picks up the needlework. The city, the dragon, the falling figure. Her sister-in-law drew her own death and left it on the bed like a note. And the other panel. Rhaenyra on the throne, blood coming out of the crown and running down over all of it. Black hands and white hands in the flames underneath. If you know your Iron Throne superstition, blood on that chair means one thing. The throne cuts the rulers it doesn't want. It's the oldest bit of folklore in this world, and Helena stitched it while everyone assumed she was just keeping her hands busy. And then the last thing she does in this season is close the window. That's it. That's the shot. Not a speech, not a dragon. A woman shutting a window on a city she just told a story to. One last thing, and then I want to hear from you. In the book, right after all this, a man appears in King's Landing. Nobody knows his name. He's barefoot, filthy, dressed in rags, and where his right hand should be, there's a stump. He starts preaching. And the crowd he builds is the one that tears the dragon pit apart. He's called the Shepherd. We watched an arm come off in this episode. It came off the wrong man, in the wrong town, 150 miles from the city where that story is supposed to start. So either they're building him out of somebody we've already met, or he walks in cold next season, and we've spent an hour watching a limb come off for nothing. I know which one I'd bet on, I just don't know who. Anyway, that's the season. So tell me what you actually thought of it, because I genuinely want to know, and the comments on these videos are better than the videos. Did the speech land for you, or did it break the character for good? And what did I miss? There's always something, and you people always find it. Like the video if you got something out of it, and I'll see you when the next one drops.